Hello, welcome back to the Kingdom Minded Mompreneur podcast with myself, Monique, and Becky. Hey, Becky.
Hey, friend.
And we're so excited because today you're getting part two of the 10 reasons you're not developing leaders. And so if you missed the last episode, make sure that you check it out where we talked about the first 5 reasons. And today we're going to give you the last 5 reasons of why you are not developing leaders. So the very first one is as you are talking to people about the business opportunity, you are not setting realistic expectations.
I feel like we could do like a dun 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 again. I need one of those sound effects, right? Like
Yes.
I'm like dun dun dun. But seriously, I mean, let's be honest. We've kind of touched on this when we were talking about the low hanging fruit or the people that are willing to jump in because of a discount. And while we love those people, right? Because a lot of a little is a lot, okay? We recognize that yes, there are people that are going to join your team who want the discount, who want to just share it with their family and friends, and that's totally fine. But if you are, let's just say you're talking about your business on social media and you're talking about how you just, you're able to hang out by the pool and you just are like, you're making millions of dollars, and then your reel goes viral. I mean, the quality of people that are watching that are like, I want to sit by the pool. Like, I want to make millions of dollars. Like, how is she doing this? Right? It's just not realistic, right? You've got to show up in a way that people are, yes, they see the big picture, they see what is available to them, or what could possibly happen, but also recognizing, hey, I put in some hard work to get here, right? Like I'm looking for people who are willing to put the work in.
Yeah. Well, and it's part of your job as a leader to set realistic expectations with people of here's what's going to happen when you come on. We had Connie Sanchez with Monate that spoke on our podcast in a previous episode, and she talked about disciplining your disappointments. And I thought that was just a really great phrase that has stuck with me ever since she said that. But the point is, when you bring people onto your team, if you're telling them, hey, this will be easy, this is no work, you just work from your phone, big deal. Well, then you're going to have the people who are not willing to work. But if you say, hey, this is hard work, it's going to require discipline. It's going to require being told no. It's going to require showing up consistently. Here are the things that you're going to have to work on and you're going to have to grow it. But the fruit is worth it, right? If you really paint that picture of the realistic expectation and the work involved and the hardship, then when they hear that first no, they're going to be like, oh, well, Becky told me that I was going to be told no. Well, Becky
Right.
told me that, my family and friends were going to be, weren't going to be supportive or whatever it is, right? Like you have that expectation. And so they're not disappointed when they join and they get that quote unquote rejection for the first time.
Yeah. So good. So, number 7 of the reasons you're not developing leaders is that you're not confident in your onboarding system. And this is actually something that we teach in Multiply 2.0. So, we'll make sure to include the link to that if you guys want to check it out. But it's just one of those things where I'm not saying your onboarding system has to be this like elaborate, crazy thing, but if you don't have the confidence that people are going to get a quick win and get results or feel like they have the right tools or equipped to have success, then you are subconsciously going to sabotage you're literally going to self-sabotage, right? You're going to not going to recruit. You're not going to talk about it with confidence, and people can tell, right? Like people can tell. If you were to walk onto a car lot, I guess, and you're looking for a new minivan, right? You're like, I'm getting a minivan for me and my kids. And this first salesman comes up to you and is like, "Hey, how can I help you?" And you're like, "I need a minivan. I have like 17 kids. I got to haul around all the time, so like, what's the best thing?" And if he's like, "Well, we do have this one over here, and I mean, I can't remember how many seats are in it. Let's go look at it." Well, oh, I think there's a couple of scratches on it. Maybe you don't want that one. Versus if this, woman comes up to you, she is like sharply dressed and she's, looks at you in the eye and she's like, "Hey ma'am, what are you looking for?" And you tell her the same thing. You got these 17 kids, you're hauling around, and she says, "Oh my word. Come with me. I have exactly what you need." Right? Well, right then and there, I'm like, "Oh, okay, let's go." Right? Like I'm ready. Let me see what it is, right? And I don't know what I need. Like she knows what I need. And so that's how it is when you're onboarding. You know what people need. You may think you don't know, right? But if you have a consistent paycheck coming in, you know how to help somebody get a quick win. But maybe you're just struggling to kind of compartmentalize and put it all together. And so if that's the case, you need Multiply 2.0. I'm just saying, I'm just going to leave it at that.
Yeah.
But
I was like, we don't
seriously,
even have time because I'm like thinking of all the things with the onboarding that we could give you advice, but we don't have time. And honestly, that's the reason why we put it into our course is because we give you the steps of how to confidently onboard. Because Becky's exactly right. If you don't feel good about what that next step is, or you don't know what that next step is, you're not going to be recruiting people because you're going to be thinking, oh, well, if they come onto my team, like what now? Like, what do I do with them? How many times have you thought, oh man, like if this person says yes, if that leveled up leader says yes, what do I do with them now? Right. And if that thought crosses your mind, then you do need to evaluate your onboarding system. And sometimes it's reinventing the wheel and sometimes it's not. I mean, sometimes it's making your own thing and then sometimes it's not. So, take if your upline has something that you're like, wow, this system is really working, it's solid, use that. If not, then it's, how can you create something on your own that's simple, but still gets people those quick wins? All right. So, number 8 is you're not holding people accountable. And so I feel like the root of this is worrying about what other people think about you because as a leader, sometimes you might feel like, well, I don't want to come across as their boss. I don't want to be telling them what to do. So I don't want to step on anyone's toes. And so sometimes that might cause you to retreat. It might cause you to pull back as a leader and not be fully honest when it comes to holding people accountable. This is also something that we go through in our Multiply coaching program. We have a whole module all about leadership and we teach you, how do you hold people accountable? But one of the aspects of that is finding out what their goals are, finding out what their mission is, what their vision is, what their goals are, and then you keeping track of that. So if it's some of your top leaders, whether it's in a spreadsheet, have some kind of form of keeping up with the goals that they have shared with you. And when they have shared those goals with you, it is your job to lovingly hold them accountable.
yeah. Oh man, I feel like we could have a whole podcast episode about accountability. And I think we probably need to because as you're talking, I'm thinking of like 72 other things that I'm like, oh my gosh, I could dive into. But for the sake of time, I'm just going to mention that I think when I think about accountability, yes, I think about the compassion and love that somebody has for you if they're willing to do that, if they're willing to hold you accountable. And so when you think about the people and the lives that you can possibly change, a lot of times it is because they come in and they have no idea what it is that they need to do, right? But if they know that somebody is like, waiting on them or, holding them accountable or gonna know if they show up or not, they will show up differently. They will show up and take action because it's kind of like if you go to the gym by yourself versus going to the gym and you're paying for a trainer. You kind of have this idea that, well, I gotta go because they're gonna be there. And so when it comes to accountability, the way you can present it is that you are partnering with them. You are walking side by side with them. And you are, trust me when I say, when you put the energy and the effort into someone else, even if you feel like the immediate monetary outcome isn't much money, quote unquote, the value of what you are like taking away from that is so much. Like I can't even begin to tell you what you will gain from it because there's just so much value in helping other people win. And I think we can all agree there is not a single compensation plan out there that every single one will reward you better, like more when you develop leaders. Like there's not one out there that doesn't do that. I mean, I don't know of one. And if there is, sure, you can message me and tell me. But honestly, like the best thing for your business is to learn how to help other people learn to win. And so
Yeah.
I just, yeah, just such a
Well, and I was
powerful
going to
thing.
say, yeah, and deep down, like if you think about it, if someone comes onto your team and they say to you, man, we're really struggling financially. If I could make just $2,000 extra a month, that would be life changing. If someone came to you and said that, okay, and then their actions were not aligning with that, you know that deep down, they really, 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 really want to make $2,000 a month, but there's a disconnect somewhere. There's some kind of disconnect there. By holding them accountable, you are actually lovingly saying, hey, this is what you told me you really want. And I'll use this as an example. So I shared in a previous episode that I just started working with a functional nutritionist. And one of the reasons why is because I have a family history of a lot of heart disease, of people dying literally in their 30s of heart attacks and all kinds of things. And so I've just kind of been in a place where I'm like, man, as a mom of three, I've been really mindful of I really, really, really want to be my absolute healthiest and do my best. And so I had a call this morning and she asked me this morning, she said, hey, for today, I want you to take a picture of every single meal that you have and text it to me. And I was like, you better believe that when I stepped out to make myself some lunch, that I was mindful of, okay, I got to send a picture to, my nutritionist. And so my point in sharing that is my deepest desire is I truly, truly want to be healthy. And so if my flesh wants to have some, I don't know, chocolate, I don't know, but I know that what I really, really, really want is health. And I've asked somebody like, hey, can you hold me accountable for this? It's
Mhm.
because that's what I really want. So I'm sharing this because as a leader, if somebody comes to you and they tell you from the beginning, this is what I need, this is what I want, then holding them accountable is loving. It has nothing to do with, well, what will they think about me? Will they think I'm telling them what to do? Will they think I'm this, that, or the other? It's loving. And if you're really viewing your business as a platform and as an opportunity to help other people, then when they tell you how this can bless them, you hold them accountable with the very thing that they're asking for.
Yeah, yeah. And I think there's ways you can do that, right? That's why I said I'm like, this is our mental note. We're definitely going to have another episode about this. But I love this question that I would always ask people, like you were saying, you kind of remind them of why they're doing what they're doing or why they're working towards the goal they're working towards. And I always would say something along the lines of like, hey, I know that you guys are trying to pay off this credit card debt that, got to like $10,000. And, if this is still, well, first I would ask, is this still a priority for you? And if they're like, yes, for sure, I really am serious. And I would always just kind of bring that back up to the forefront to remind them first why they're doing it. And then say, okay, well, if this is still a priority for you, then we either need to do one of two things. We need to change your actions, right? So we need to maybe increase your efforts and your actions, or we need to change the goal. And so, which is it that you would like me to help you work through? And so, if someone says, like, hey, I know I said I wanted to pay off the credit card by this date, but maybe we should change the goal. Like, you need to be accepting of that, right? Which leads into the number 9. And that is that you need to be, instead of more concerned about your own rank, you need to be more concerned about relationship building, because the person that you are holding accountable, right? They know how you're operating. If you're operating through a lens of, I am coaching you and I'm holding you accountable because I care about you and I know that you are made for more and I know what you are capable of, versus, hey, I'm trying to get to this before conference so I can be recognized on stage. I mean, I'm sorry, but like, people maybe for a short period of time will take action because of that, but it is not sustainable. I mean, you cannot build a team and expect those people to continually follow you if you are so focused on your own title, your own rank, your own paycheck, out and kind of forgetting all the real life stuff that goes on in people's lives. I mean, it's just reality. You just can't do it.
Well, and I think in general, if you look at the network marketing industry as a whole, we are female by, by large numbers. The majority of us are female. not that Becky and I are no longer in the industry, but I'm saying network marketers are female, mostly moms, not everyone, but a lot of people are. And so even just looking at that, and you think about how many times do you have somebody on your team who goes through a pregnancy or goes through a kid who's not sleeping or a kid who's sick, or maybe they went back to work for a period of time and they had a job transition, or, there's all kinds of things that when you're thinking about moms specifically,
Right.
there are all kinds of seasons. When it's the school year, it operates one way. When it's the summer, we were even just talking about this in our own business. Like, okay, how are we going to show up in the summer? And
Yeah.
so when you have the more masculine approach of like, let's get the thing done, let's do the thing, let's hit the rank, all that, versus the more feminine approach of what is the season that you're in? Like, and I
Mhm.
love that you asked that question of, is your goal still the same or has something changed? Because there are many times where someone might, say, hey, this is what I want. But maybe when they realize the effort that's required, they're like, all right, well, instead of me accomplishing this goal in a year, I'm going to accomplish this goal in 2 years or something, where they have a more realistic approach of the time that's involved. But I think we just have to be aware because you're working primarily with females.
Yes, totally agree.
All right. And then number 10, for the reason why you're not developing leaders is you struggle with casting the vision for others to be a part of. And so it's one thing when you have your own vision and your own mission, but when you are not sharing with other people, when you're not casting that vision, when you're not making it something for them to be a part of, then oftentimes there's not a sense of loyalty. They don't feel like they have to belong to your team. They maybe feel like they can get this anywhere else or they can go take a part-time job, working anywhere. But if you are really clear on the team vision and casting that vision of how this can be an opportunity for them and really recognizing the platform that you have, because I truly believe that as a network marketer, it's not just about making extra income and recruiting people, but it is about having a platform and having a opportunity to leave a legacy.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, I wrote this down so I wouldn't say it incorrectly. When people feel a connection to the community, there is commitment. So if they feel connected to the cause or connected to, the story of the founders or connected to what you're building, right? And there's a sense of community around it, like we're all in this together. I mean, let's just be honest, the commitment level is higher versus, I think we can think about this just in general in life. Like if I buy something, I don't know, if I like find some random Instagram and I buy something from them, there's not really much commitment for me to keep purchasing from them because I don't feel any sense of community. I don't have any sense of connection. It's just a random thing I found, right? Versus if I'm like following someone,
Well,
for
like
yeah,
Tom's shoes.
yes, yes. Or that, yeah, if there's a mission behind it. But in general, like I follow this one girl, she's a single mom and she is in the industry and direct sales and she sells Red Aspen and I like love their nail dashes, right? Like I love the nails. And so I consistently buy from her. I feel this connection to her because she's been through a divorce. Like I've been, and so it's like there's this connection. And so I have, in a sense, this commitment to her because even though I'm not selling it, right? Or even though I'm not, whenever I refer people, like anyone asks me about my nails, I send her profile. I do because I have this sense of connection to what it is and how it's
How
helping
it's
her.
helping her. Yes, I love that. I love that. So I think part of your job as a leader needs to be casting that vision, really sharing with your team and sharing with people publicly, like what is the vision? What's the community that you are building so that they feel like they are a part of fulfilling that. So one of the things that we have done is Becky and I have spent so much time putting together a course called Multiply 2.0. We have re-recorded the modules and we really feel like it is the best course out there for recruiting. Like it is very clear on the step-by-step instructions on, how do you find the people who want to build with you? How do you share your vision with them? How do you attract your ideal business builders? What do you say to invite them? And so We put so much blood, sweat, and tears into this course. And we have put it into a self-paced course that you can purchase. We will drop it in the show notes. It is on sale right now. And you guys, if you are listening to this before May 31st, I personally am going to run a 12-week cohort. And what I mean by that is for 12 weeks, you will meet with me in a group coaching container, and I will coach you through the 12 modules. And so that is going to kick off in June, but the cutoff to order is on May 31st. And so if you feel like recruiting, developing leaders has been a struggle for you, I cannot emphasize enough how Multiply is the course for you.